Jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our 20th anniversary interview for Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. I'm JB, and of course, with me is Millie.
Hi.
And as a returning guest, we have Peter Crosman.
Hello. I found some really great, historic memos that I printed
Ooh.
up about the crisis that we were having with the monsters. And it all brings a lot of it back. What it is my proposals for reshooting or manipulating the existing characters that we had to work with, all of which were basically taken from the Scooby Doo villains playbook. We didn't really, I think there may be some that we created from scratch. The characters I have listed here are Captain Cutler, Witch Doctor. These are clearly, Hanna-Barbera cartoon series ones. Minor 49er, I wasn't familiar with. Ghost Clown, Creeper, Redbeard's Ghost, which I suspect was in there, but I don't remember an episode with it. Ozark Witch. That's
Oh,
one
yeah.
really didn't get very far with, but are you familiar with Ozark Witch? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Ozark Witch, Zombie, Black Knight Ghost, and Chickenstein. Chickenstein? Come on. Was that ever a Scooby-Doo classic? I'm not certain.
No, I think he appeared in one of the, I think it was the most contemporary villain that they'd come up with, like, in terms of relative, because it was in a pup named Scooby Doo, which I think was the show in, like, the 80s, the mid
Yep.
80s. And it was
Okay.
just such a weird, obscure creature in one episode of that series. And it looked
There you
quite
go.
different, though.
Well,
I think it looks better in the live action, though, in the
I
museum
mean,
scene.
you got to say James Gunn did his homework. He tried to incorporate the monsters that you know uh, fans loved when they saw the series. So this is following in the tradition, and we had this opportunity where this the evil genius is just birthing these monsters, right? And we went through quite a lot of discussions about this monster birthing, thing that had these pods that came down. And, you can't believe how complicated all that stuff was to build for real and then to build in CGI. And, but, in the end, it all looked pretty seamless. That part went pretty well. It was just a question of what was going to happen once the monsters were already in the arena. What did they have to complement one another as far as tag team, attacking goes, right? And I think what happened is we didn't bring up the tar monster for real. He was just in the museum at the very beginning. Remember, we were looking at all the classic
Yeah.
monsters that the Mystery Inc. team had dealt with, and we just had that big tar monster lump with the headlight, right? And somewhere along the line, one of the producers or Raja or James Gunn himself, just said there's something missing with respect to the stakes. They're in an enclosed environment. Um, we'd already had a lot of encounters with the 10,000 volt ghost, which was really great. Had a great time creating the 10,000 volt ghost with the special effects department, and of course they loved it. There are things about that I remember. I have a picture of Sarah Michelle Gellar responding to an attack by the 10,000 volt ghost for the first time, and
Oh
she just did everything
gosh.
that you don't do as a hero. She flipped out when she saw the amount of sparks and mayhem that these guys created. I'll never forget that night. The first take was just sort of a disaster. But anyway, so in this fine tradition, we got to this point where some of these creatures are going to make the cut and some of them aren't, because we can't produce all of them to the quality level that we want. And clearly they had already had, like, Captain Cutler was in the swamp and we'd already dealt with him. So there was lots of them that would never be in the monster birthing sequence. But it was really to do with that a crisis of confidence that we had exactly the monsters that we needed to come out of that monster birthing thing, and to the Mystery Inc. gang gets out of there, but they also come back. and they finish off with the tar monster doing his thing. But the tar monster at the time, it was questionable whether we had the CG chops to really pull that off. I mean, I had just done, Flubber with Disney, not too long before that. And that was really difficult and really expensive. And it was similar in terms of the technology, but this had to be a character that also had particle system bleeding and that sort of thing. So the first thing I was going to show you was I'll put up a reel and we'll go through some of these characters and what happened during the course of experimentation and that sort of thing. So here we go. Let me see if I can get to my applications here.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
wow.
That's what you want. So
Yeah. I think
So
based
here-
on the
so-
reaction, that's definitely the right screen.
yeah, there you go. So this is stuff on set. That was our Black Knight ghost. He really did inhabit the outfit. And there's Raja with Matthew going through something. Bose and I sitting on set, one doing the museum shoot. And this is the night that Sarah Michelle Gellar got assaulted by Sparks. And you can see she's a little intimidated there. But that's actually Sarah Michelle, and that's actually Matthew Lillard and Linda Cardellini racing off on this test. I mean, it was supposed to be a full take, but we knew right away when the stuff started going off. I wish I had her expletives at the end of it all. Pretty funny outfit. That's what I want.
Oh.
So I'll just run you through this. Basically, this goes for the early stages of, Coolsville. We were thinking about how to design Coolsville. It's just going to run at its pace. That's the Coolsville we created digitally out of Vancouver, BC, and that's the Skelly slope that we imagined, and you can see a little tiny Scooby Doo right there. Just portrayed on the Skelly slope that we created outside of town. This was just imagining how this would all work, and this is really literally the matte painting that we created for that sequence where Shaggy and Scooby go down the hill and the eyeball creatures go after them. So here we get into the tests, right? And what I don't have is all the footage of each one of these guys in their paces, but we did do an outdoor, lighting them like they would be, portrayed in the movie, and we just sort of went through and saw which ones could be qualified or not. I think this is the zombie. I think that's what we considered the zombie, and then there's a close up of him, and you can see he was a lot of jowl makeup. This one, I'm not sure who this guy was because I don't remember what the Ozark Witch looks like. Is this
With the pumpkin head? I think it's probably based off the Headless Horseman.
Headless Horseman? That's exactly right. Yeah. So you can see they were their own fanciful versions of the cartoon characters, and then this one is Redbeard's ghost, and there's a fetching shot, and the guys were working with sort of black light technology. There's a close up of that guy, and I'm sorry these are such rough. They're just low resolution. I just ended up with a funny set of stills that were pulled from some of the testing that we did. So
given that the release is 20 years like this year, these must be a little bit older, so it's a miracle that they're even still here, and it's pretty good quality, really.
well, you can at least see what's going on. And then there's a tight shot of that guy, lovely teeth, So this guy would be what's the name of this guy? I just want to make sure, it's been 20 years. I'm not sure. This is the Creeper. He's got to be the Creeper. He's creepy enough, isn't he?
I think the first one looks like the cartoon creeper. That might be like the Mortician.
Oh, the
Not sure.
Mortician. Yeah, you're right. I think that is the Mortician. And so that would make this guy the
That's the
Creeper.
creeper, yeah.
That's the Creeper. Okay, all right, that makes sense. See, you guys are the experts on some of this. You know? I just had monsters to buff up. So obviously you saw the that's our voodoo maestro, and I'll show you a little live action of him. There's the minor 49er with a fetching belly shot and his close up. Very, very nice. All right, and Chickenstein, lest we forget, full-size Chickenstein, and you're going to see him again because I did manage to find the test that we looked at together. Oh, I got an errant shot of this guy, and here's the here's the clown. The clown was really disturbing, I must say. That was an early rendition of him, and then now you're going to see what we shot on set, and some of this is the footage that probably caused the crisis. Is like just looking at these guys and see if we got some sound here.
Mark. Necks are hot. And action! Okay. Little next creature takes take one. Inland mark.
All right, I'll spare you another. Well, you guys got the time.
Oh, literally every hour
Take
in the
two.
world for these.
Okay.
And rub the head. Box leg. Go. All right, come do it. Do it to them. Box. And it's fast. Fast. Box the skull. Box the skull. Float it. 1, 2, 3, go. Go. Cut. Hey, Mark. And action!
It's taken across the road. Rip off your faces and eat your brains. How about this Southern Fried Scooby?
What up? Hey, Mark. Bye, guys.
Stand in for Velma.
And set.
Why'd the chicken cross the road? Rip off your faces and eat your brains. How about this Southern Fried Scooby?
Cut.
So there you go. That's the live action ones that I was able to find. There may be more, you know. The clown test indicates to me that somewhere I have or had probably a VHS tape or something of their test. But I made up this whole regimen of things that I proposed to the studio we do to make these creatures more entertaining. And we did a lot of those tests. But anyway, so I'll continue here. So, you know, of course, we had the CGI based stuff. This was early tests with our pterodactyl. Candy Ghost, of course. That was a proposed to us by Giant Killer Robots. And this is the kind of stuff we used animatics to make timing and the animation work for the finals. And I just strung together a bunch of my tests, animatics, and some of the real stuff. You can see Scooby's missing here, and it's a very crude roto of him. And this is the early look of the 10,000 volt ghost. And he had what everybody agreed is that he looked more like he was on fire. You know, he sort of looked like the Human Torch from Fantastic Four. So I insisted he have white, carefully controlled yellows and reds in the set. So we started incorporating whiter whites inside the body. And you can see we were working with, all these characters could be expressed in their 2D forms almost as blobby creatures, just to get an idea where they were going to occupy the space, where the eye lines were, and whether that was all working. So I'll go back a little bit here. The tongue action on that guy was kind of lost, but you can notice it if you know it's there. But yeah, I had a great time making the 10,000 volt ghost. That was part of his finale scene. Sorry, these aren't all in order, but there you go.
It's just so fascinating to see all these stages.
Yeah. So they had to be. Oh, here's the early test of the tar monster. And you can see what happens here is that he's got to be dripping, but of course he was dripping way too much in this test. But they did this test very quickly at Frantic Films. They were up in Winnipeg, Canada at the time, and I just said, make sure you show us the bleed as well as characterization. That's a funny piece there. But anyway, this was enough to let us know we had the foundations of a tar monster that we could actually put in action sort of within the time frame that we had, which wasn't a lot. And I'm not sure what this was. I came across this. I think this was a proposal for Miss Brittany Dew, is what this says. I think this was breakdancing for the end of the first Scooby. I think he was supposed to come out. Or actually, no, what am I thinking? There was something in the finale of Scooby Doo 2, wasn't
Oh
there?
yeah, the faux ghost disco scene with
Yeah,
Ruben
the Fogos
Studdard.
disco scene. So this was some early stuff that was proposed for Scooby breakdancing, that's pretty hysterically funny. But there you go. You have to start somewhere, right? So this was the title sequence. I came across this. I just thought I'd show you what I think this was Giant Killer Robots in San Francisco, and they just created from lots of reference what a sort of faux British Columbia urban scene might be. And there's got to be lots of turns and all that because we've got all the credits to roll on this. So this was just a time test. We had this in the movie for the editor for a very long time so that music could be created for it and everything else. You always need your click track and your pace, and of course we manipulated, got notes based on all this stuff. But this is where you come out at the museum for the opening of the movie and you see the pterodactyl actually fly through frame. Oh, this is a funny scene. I know this is completely in order, and I have the full title sequence later, but you've seen that. But Shaggy, I was going to have to do with Shaggy Chick is the scene I'm portraying here. So this is the roughs. This is what I was using as a click track for a long time. Shooting Matthew Lillard and his female double with a motion control camera. You can see these are my rough composites, basically, working with the same camera move. She was positioned slightly differently, and there was
George Bush. Right, I know.
Yeah, I thought you'd find that surprising. I'm George Bush. Didn't do that. So this is our female stand-in lead. I had to wrap her because I was using the white as a luma key element against all of this stuff that we would have to cut out later with Matthew's head in that. Of course, these are all different takes that I just chunked out, you know, to basically give them a sense of how quickly we want to go through all these permutations. This is finished stuff. But it led me around to the issues we had. This was a huge set, you know, quite an undertaking by Bill Bowes and his art department. See all their...
Apuesto a que están todos.
Debió utilizar los disfraces para que ¿verdad? Está enamorada. No, Patrick es el malo.
And this is where all the work of the testing came together with this sort of particulate stuff that we were working with. Early company called Look Effects had done some interesting stuff. And it was always, I like the idea of them being birthed and having this stuff bleeding through their costumes. And it's the question of how many shots we had to do of each of these types. Appear here, 49er. Tar Monster makes his first appearance.
Lo necesitaba y también ese. Me das otro y te lo devuelvo.
The rest of this, I show you this part, and then I have the animatic, which is I want to show you how crude the animatics are. I'm going to go through the ending here, but here's how we mapped out the action in the early days with really crude animatics. You know, you could just see this is the same sequence done again. And I think I've got no sound on this to find, because it actually really did help us and Raja understand the pacing and the geography of this crazy space, which, you know, this was like 4 different times we mapped this all out. And none of it was actually set extensions. I mean, the set was made in 360 degrees, which is really phenomenal. You almost never see that. But we could shoot in any direction in this place, but we had to decide what we were shooting and how. And you can just see this is the final encounters and really rough stuff, you know. But I thought you'd be amused by that. And then I've got another version of this that's far more developed. This was the first time the Scooby skate park notion was birthed. It's hard to believe this is in real time.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see that Daphne's got her outfit from the first movie on as well. That it was quite a bit based on that as well.
That's right. That's what we had. Yeah. So I think I had it. Oops, sorry. Let me go back to that. I just want to make sure I wasn't double speeding. I think I was double speeding. Yeah, this is the real speed. With the frisbee stuff, the birthing, the encounter, Daphne getting picked up by the tar monster. So all these were based on, you know, the James Gunn beats and how we would portray the demise of each character to the tar monster as we went around, and Scooby's heroic catch of the controller that had to be put in place. And of course, the controller ends up being pinned down for quite a while. I'm just, now I am going faster. There's the skate park Scooby. Some things did not make it. Some ideas. Minor 49 are looking very much like a Lego. And this was definitely some tough choreography. You know, it's like we had a lot of fun with this slow motion idea of Scooby in slow-mo and the pterodactyl ghost coming through at the same time, both trying to get this flying frisbee. And he flies into the tar monster. And then that is in fact how it's resolved. Crude versions, right? But you got to start somewhere with this stuff. And it's always great to have a 3D animatic to refer to.
Oh, the Scooby Doo.
This was some interesting, and there's some of our live action outcome, and then this is a much more updated version, but still very rough for all things. But we were encouraged to get a rough version in for the editors, sound, all that stuff. So this actually took quite a while to prep and get as much of our action in here, even though it seemed like a waste of time. But just getting a refined version from all the live action we had and all the proposed animation was really going to save us a lot of time, because we had shots to eliminate, shots to modify. We just had a massive list and not that much time, because the tar monster was decided on rather late in the game. But yeah, you can see a lot of this is in there's our dual eyeballs guy. The contorted tar monster as frozen.
I'm actually humming the music in my head that goes
Yeah,
along
even
with this scene.
with some of the others, like I added in the voices in my head.
There you go.
I genuinely do have the music in my head right now, and I'm pretty sure it's in the right place, like word for where it should be and everything.
Well, you remember it well. A lot of this timing was pretty set. I didn't include anything that didn't look like real timing. Monster congeals, he goes through and does the pants pull. So it was just dependent upon how far Rhythm and Hughes had gone with Scooby and how far gosh, I haven't said their name in a long time. Meteor in Montreal had done the pterodactyl. And this guy, of course, was also Meteor. His face had to be all CG. Scooby Dooby Doo. So these obviously, every one of these had so many permutations to go, but this was probably the last full animatic that I remember making with all those teams. There you go. All right. So let's see. Let's see what else I have.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's what I was going to show you right here, right?
Yeah, that's perfect. There's people around the table.
Now you're seeing it?
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
see it
it's
now, yeah.
wonderful.
It's the talk show outside the action here. It's all happening.
That's right. The big guy today is on this new device right here. This is our mobile.
James Gunn, one of the other producers, Richard Suckle. That's a very quick clip. But let me see if I've got another one there. Still on?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Oh, there's chicken stein.
That was one of the ADs wearing the Chicken Stein mask. I don't know why. Stand in for Matthew Lillard. Are you seeing this stuff on the screen here? I should
Yeah.
move
Yeah,
this.
that's all good.
This is the banquet scene where they're
Let's go ahead and try and get it.
Behind the evil masked figure
Let's go test
with
it on
Brent
it.
O'Connor.
this was an outdoor snippet of getting the Black Knight ready to encounter Freddy on the motorcycle. We were all in helmets for safety. That's oh my God, our DP said his name in a while. But and our special effects guy, Dennis O'Connor. And again, I'm not sure what who made these
Would they
pieces
be
in the props area, but I couldn't help but shoot them on my phone.
they must be from the Faux Ghost, right? You know the scene
Oh
where you
yeah,
This is at the
almost like
museum,
whack-a-mole one.
and they're just demonstrating the
That's fine.
order of the monsters. That's Bill Bowes
Bill Bowes.
briefly.
Like F7 return.
Sorry, it's not better video of the behind the scenes.
That's great.
I actually have more of that stuff for a future session, I'm sure. But there you go. That's some of what I resurrected on a lacy hard drive, that had nothing but a 400 FireWire, and it was in storage. So that's what I did last week.
oh, that is absolutely fantastic. I mean, especially to share that on the 20th anniversary year of Scooby Doo 2 is just amazing. I mean, does it feel like 20 years since the release for you? Like, how do you reflect on that?
No, it doesn't. And Bill Bowes and I discussed that the other day. No, the challenges to it and the fact that we were in this group that had worked on the previous movie in Australia, and we came together again in BC. It was a very familial, relation that we had with everybody, including James Gunn, who wrote both of them, and Raja directing. And yeah, it doesn't feel like that family really broke up less than 10 years ago. It just is so solid in my memory, and how it intersected with having young kids and them coming up and being on set. And just the exploration of British Columbia for the first time. I hadn't been in Vancouver, and I was an avid bike rider, so I was spending my Saturdays and Sundays riding all over BC, and it was just a gorgeous place. It rained way too much, I must say. We were not pleased with how much rain we had for all the night shooting. And I did have a lot of fun on second unit doing things like the chase with the van and the pterodactyl ghost. And I'm sure I have more of the animatics of that kind of stuff. And but 20 years is that's not the figure I would give it, in my imagination. But there you go. It was a great group that we came together with. Now you guys have seen Scooby's since this, right? But it never was quite the same. All the other Scooby Doo animated pictures, right, that have come on after this group did theirs at Warner Brothers. Do you ever have any meetings with people about the later shows?
Yeah, quite recently. I mean, we try and keep up to date and interview people from all the way back in 1969, that original series, to some of the stuff that they're doing even this year that hasn't been released yet. But I think what attracted me to everything is all the live action stuff. That was my initial point of entry, and it's just even after all this time, it remains to be the things that I watch the most. It's got a bit of an edge to it, especially that I don't think the others had.
I think
Oh,
it's
that's
one of
great to
those
hear.
things where it's just enjoyable for a wider audience. I know the animated ones and things like that, my parents would never let me watch them growing up, because for them having to sit next to me watching them, they just couldn't engage with it in the same way. Whereas the live action ones, my parents were more than happy whenever they were on to just have them there and watch them with me. So I think it, like you say, it gave both of us the route into Scooby, really.
Well, they were very ambitious. I mean, let's face it, you got Chuck Roven, who's responsible for a lot of stuff right up to Oppenheimer right now. He took the stage at the Golden Globes and probably will be up there again when the Oscars unveil next Sunday. But he was behind this with Richard Suckle, Raja Gosnell, and they never wanted it to be anything but, incredible. And they were always worried about whether they were being cutting edge enough. Even the first one, the second one, money was no object. They really were trying to pursue excellence and humor. We were finding Scooby as a character in the first one, and it was difficult. Like there were times when they wondered, since the cartoon characters were going to be played by real people, whether we shouldn't be more hewing to a more real dog. And I was certainly the first one to go to the mat to say, no, the dog has to be extraordinary and it has to punch up like the Scooby cartoon. I'd hew much more toward the cartoon with the big eyes than I would towards a real dog. And we had quite a few tests with Rhythm and Hues that are pretty fascinating, where we morphed, all the way from, fully insane, sort of a Rat Fink looking Scooby. You probably don't know the Rat Fink reference, but that's the bulging eyeballs with veins, and it was kind of grotesque and funny. But all the way to the more demure version of what would be his character, as I won't say a Doberman, but he's not a Doberman. No, as a regular dog that could be seen with some features, So we did a hybrid and testing, and that part was definitely very, very fun at Rhythm and Hues with their team and everyone in the core group that was conceiving of this new Scooby franchise in live action. It was hugely challenging and really fun, and so it was great to get a second bite at the apple to do Scooby 2. And Raja and company, they hired mainly the same people, although we switched out special effects and things that were much easier to find in Australia, and this time we were going to be in Canada, so there were some big changes made as far as getting the sets and all the stuff built. But it was still the same group and the same adherence to excellence, and trying to make sure everything was as daring and funny as possible. And of course, the cast did an amazing job. It was great hanging out with that cast.
I wish that they added in a bit more of that philosophy to some of like the modern day Disney things that they're doing now, where they don't need to make the animals look hyper realistic. I love that despite it being live action, Scooby was able to be a little bit more cartoony, but also look real enough. And I like it a lot. I just think that adds another edge to it as well. And yeah, it's just absolutely incredible.
Cool.
I
Well, I'm
guess
glad the fan base is out there.
I guess my penultimate question perhaps would be, is there anything else like from behind the scenes that you want to talk about or share today? Or maybe this is a bit of a teasing question. Is there anything that that did exist at one point that possibly didn't now, that you wish that you could have found but didn't get a chance to?
That's an interesting question. No, I thought we did a pretty good job of exploring the characters we took on. And yeah, even to the extent that some of the stuff that was written, I thought was going to be so hard to do that we would end up cutting it in the interest of cutting the budget. Alley necessarily meant that we were going to cut back on a lot of the other stuff we'd already thought of, as the chase, the Skelly sequence, which I really enjoyed doing a full 3D cartoon kind of in the middle of this whole thing, right? even Matthew Lillard, was barely required. But no, Scooby on his own with those two Skelly characters, in a completely 3D set. It just offered everything. So no, I was really pleased at how ambitious and the range of what we were able to explore. Yeah, I would say it was, we had a pretty satisfying experience, and getting to work with Bill Bowes, who's become a great friend of mine anyway, and all of his trials, and him being a newsman, there was just a lot of different dimensions to making this one that I don't come across very often. It was more expansive than my average experience being a visual effects supervisor. So no, not really. I'll think about that question after I get off this call, I'm sure, and think of something. Oh, I did come across this gem. This is good to see after the 20 years. Let's see if this will actually show up. Am I showing it the right way? You can see him. Oh, he's backwards. Let me see if I can get black behind it.
Oh, it's the
two.
yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh.
I have a lot of reflections coming in here, so I think I can avoid that this way. Here we go. Let me do this again. My God, that's hard
That's
to show
perfect.
you.
No, we can see it there.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was given to
Oh,
us
lovely.
at the end of the show by Chuck Roven and Kelly Smithwaite and Richard Suckle. Yeah, so you can see he's 3D. Nice, huh?
That's
I don't know how
amazing.
I don't even know how they make these things. There it is.
That is
And
awesome.
I worked on Ghostbusters too, so it was ironic to work on another one that did the two, like our Ghost. I didn't work on the first Ghostbusters, but I did work on the second one. So there you go. There's our 20-year embellishment. You helped me dust that off.
Oh, that is amazing. It has just been such a pleasure to be here with you today discussing all these, and the things that you've shown have been mind-blowing. Like the ghost clown, that section I'd never seen before, and all the animatics. It's just so incredible how it all looks so great, and just seeing it all build up, and the fact that you've been able to find it and keep it, it almost makes me wish that these were on like the DVD. They should definitely do like a bonus features 20th anniversary with a lot of this stuff on the DVD, because I would just love to watch it on the big screen. But
Well, you may inspire me to actually pull some of my, mini DV tapes, because I do have a lot of stuff that I did in the day, just to keep a diary going and make sure that I was up to date on everything on every set. I used to have these tapes available, and I would have my associates, that I was working with, screen them every once in a while to make sure. Most of it was like technical stuff and all, but it was a diary, and I'll have to pull that stuff up someday. I've been too busy, which is good.
definitely, so yeah, really looking forward to that. And Millie, I suppose I'll hand it over to you to wrap things up.
Yeah, so I guess, like we said, we've discussed things from the past. Is there anything you have going on either in the present or the future? Any projects that you're working on that you can talk about?
No, not a whole lot. I'm actually trying to put a series together that has more to do with live action and reality TV, and my love of Anthony Bourdain. I mean, there's also a whole side of myself and my kids doing stuff in Unreal Engine, and they do have some exciting stuff that we've been working on. That's their musical rock opera set in space, and I'd be happy to share that with you in the near future. They've got several songs, and they take place in outer space, and the two of them are on missions. Basically, they throw parties intergalactically, and that stuff is coming out great. We're really enjoying that process, and but the other stuff I'm doing, like a reality TV show for the country of Colombia because I got to know that place when I did the Jack Ryan series, and I want to return and drum up a sort of Anthony Bourdain No Reservations or the Parts Unknown series. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but they celebrate the people, the culture, the food, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm actually really interested in that, and I'm extending my knowledge of production to go down there and stir up some fun and see some new music and new culture and better farming practices. It turns out regen agriculture. There's a bunch of stuff in progress down there that I think is a good model for the world. So I may be pursuing that.
Well, it all sounds really interesting and certainly some exciting things as well. So, is there kind of a best place for people to keep up with future projects, things that you have going on?
I'll be better about keeping my Vimeo up. At this point, I've been so busy. I got back from Hong Kong. I actually worked on the show Expats with Nicole Kidman that's out now on Amazon. That's the last big series that I worked on, and it's now out. It took a long time in post, but yeah, no, I'll be. I'm sure I'll be taking on something else that I haven't even heard about yet. You know, there's been a slow period after the pandemic, and I'm taking my time. I'm really choosing, carefully what I want to do next.
Well, that is amazing. We definitely can't wait for that. It's been a pleasure to have you here today. And of course, a pleasure to share this and archive it. So thank you to everybody for watching. Happy 20th anniversary to Scooby Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. If you do want to see more, then please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.